On the last Sunday of July, a pleasant breeze wafted through the car window. Our family was heading to church as usual. In the back seat of our white BMW X5, my son Ethan was engrossed in a large book. Harry Potter again. Michael, my husband, peeked through the rearview mirror with a gentle smile. Looking forward to baseball practice this afternoon. Ethan looked up from his book with a shy smile. Yes. I want to try throwing that curve ball I practiced yesterday. That's right. Your curve ball has been improving quite a bit. Michael's voice was filled with pride. The coach was praising it too. As we drove through Greenwich, the spire of First Presbyterian Church came into view. The white building gleaming in the morning light had become our spiritual anchor as a landmark of this town. When we parked, my parents were waiting at the church entrance. My mother Patricia wore an elegant toile de Joie dress, while my father Robert was dressed in a navy Brooks Brothers suit. They both carried themselves with a sophistication that belied their age in their 60s. "Good morning, Rachel," Mother reached out to embrace me, her Chanel perfume wafting in the air. "Ethan, aren't you going to greet Grandma?" Ethan quietly bowed his head, holding his book at his side. "Good morning." Father silently patted Ethan's head. He was always like that, a man of few words. As someone who had built a construction company from scratch, he carried an air of dignity about him. Just then, a weathered Honda Civic pulled into the parking lot. My sister Linda hurriedly got out with her son Tyler. "I'm so sorry we're late." "Tyler." Mother's voice rose an octave. "Come here to Grandma." Since Linda's divorce, Mother's doting on Tyler had become noticeably more intense. The divorce 2 years ago had shocked the entire family. Mother, in particular, seemed to take Linda's ex-husband's betrayal as her own failure. Tyler ran to Mother and was immediately embraced. "Oh, my dear. This new shirt looks wonderful on you," Mother said while gently stroking Tyler's hair, then turned to Linda. "I found this shirt at Nordstrom. I thought it would be perfect for Tyler." During the service, we sang hymns in the solemn atmosphere. Ethan sat with a serious expression, his Bible open, though his Harry Potter book lay discreetly beside it. Michael occasionally glanced at his son's profile with a smile. During coffee hour after the service, Fellowship Hall was filled with the aroma of warm coffee and gentle conversation. Mother kept offering homemade cookies to Tyler, showing a proud expression to the church ladies watching. "My precious grandson has such a healthy appetite." Father was deep in conversation with his business associates. His church connections had been crucial to his company's success. He naturally became the center of attention in that circle. Meanwhile, Ethan sat quietly reading his book in a corner sofa. Occasionally, he would look up at the sound of Tyler's cheerful laughter. Mother passed by Ethan's side several times, without saying a word, just walking past. The difference in their grandparents' attitudes was evident in subtle gestures and words. Excessive affection for Tyler, and reserved treatment of Ethan. Though I noticed this, I just smiled silently as usual, trying not to disturb the peaceful Sunday atmosphere. Michael placed his hand on my shoulder. He didn't say anything, but his warmth spoke volumes. For now, I would just surrender myself to this quiet Sunday morning prayer. That day too had started like any other Sunday. In the sunlight streaming into Fellowship Hall, Ethan was quietly reading his book. The sight of my son absorbed in Harry Potter had become a familiar scene at this church. Amidst the aroma of coffee and cookies, Mother's voice suddenly rang out. "Ethan, would you like to go to Universal Studios with Grandma and Grandpa next Saturday?" The book nearly slipped from Ethan's hands. He looked up at Grandmother Patricia with sparkling eyes. "Really? Can I see Harry Potter's castle?" I saw an expression of joy on my son's profile that I had never seen before. For my son, who had been captivated by the world of Harry Potter since starting school, the chance to actually see Hogwarts Castle must have seemed like a dream come true. "Yes, let's all go as a family," Father Robert nodded. He showed an unusually gentle expression, rare for my typically taciturn father. Taking his wallet from his suit's breast pocket, he showed several tickets. "I've already made the reservations." "That's wonderful. Tyler will be so happy," Linda added. I thought I heard a hint of triumph in her voice, but I decided to think it was my imagination. Tyler was in high spirits, munching on candy while sitting on Mother's lap. That evening, Ethan was the first to mark his calendar. The large circle drawn with a red marker seemed to express the excitement in his heart. "Mom, only 6 days left," my son's voice trembled with anticipation. At bedtime, when I was about to turn off the lights, Ethan asked in a small voice, "Mom, can I wear my Hogwarts uniform over my pajamas?" I smiled and nodded. It became a nightly ritual after that. Wearing the universal t-shirt over his pajamas to sleep. Practicing taking out imaginary admission tickets using an old passport holder. Always reading Harry Potter before bed. "Hey Mom, only 5 days left." "Mom, it's 4 days now. The day after tomorrow." I began to hear brighter sleep talking from my son's room than before. "I'm going to ride the Hogwarts Express. I'm going to buy a magic wand. I'm going to drink butterbeer." Michael watched our son with a gentle smile. It's been a while since I've seen Ethan so animated. During family dinner, Ethan was making detailed plans. "First we'll go to platform 93/4, then to Diagon Alley." He enthusiastically shared his knowledge from the books about each location. His eyes were full of hope. The night before, Ethan seemed to have trouble falling asleep. He kept getting up to check his packed bags. "Mom, make sure to wake me up tomorrow morning so I'm not late." "Don't worry. Everything's ready, right?" "Yes. I packed my Harry Potter book in my bag too. I'm going to read it on the train." At midnight, I peeked into my son's room. Ethan seemed to be waking up several times from excitement. He was secretly reading Harry Potter by flashlight. Normally I would have scolded him, but I decided to pretend I hadn't seen it that night. Despite waking up several times during the night, he was still up at 6 a.m. Already dressed and waiting by the front door. There was still an hour until the meeting time of 7 a.m. His hair was neatly combed, wearing his favorite Hogwarts t-shirt. "Ethan, it's still early. But I don't want to be late." "What about breakfast?" "I'm too nervous to eat." After 7 a.m. passed, there was still no word from my parents. Ethan kept staring out the window. The usually quiet street felt unusually long today. The ticking of the clock's second hand seemed oddly loud. "Mom, why aren't Grandma and Grandpa coming?" "They'll be here soon. Probably just stuck in traffic or something." I noticed my voice trembling mid-sentence. I anxiously called Mother. After several rings, I heard her voice. In the background, I could hear the lively music of an amusement park. Cheers and laughter. The roar of a roller coaster. "I'm sorry. We decided to take your sister's child instead. There's no room for you." The car was full. Mother's voice had laughter in it. As if it were just a minor change of plans. In the background, Tyler's cheer of, "Yay," rang out. That sound stabbed my heart like a knife. "Mom? What do you mean?" My voice was shaking. "Like I said, we brought Tyler today. He's been so excited since this morning. He's just adorable." On the other end of the receiver, Tyler's cheerful voice continued. "We're going to Jurassic Park. Grandma, let's go there next." "But Ethan." The phone cut off abruptly. I was frozen in place. Behind me, I heard the sound of Michael's fist hitting the wall. And then, my son's crying. Ethan collapsed to the floor, crying out loud. It was a way of crying I had never seen before. His shoulders shook violently, tears wouldn't stop. The passport holder he had cherished fell to the floor. The handmade replica tickets he had spent a week making spilled out. I could see Michael's body trembling with anger. He opened his mouth to say something but quickly closed it. No words could help in the face of Ethan's crying. I saw a kind of anger in my husband's eyes that I had never seen before. I stood stunned, unable to accept this reality. Outside the window, the light of an ordinary Sunday morning was pouring down. That light felt more cruel than ever before. My son's dreams were shattered, and our family's way of being had changed dramatically. Only Ethan's crying continued to echo through the quiet house. A week passed. Ethan stayed home from school, confined to his room. His Harry Potter books were tucked away in the back of his desk drawer. At night, I could sometimes hear small sobs. Each time, my heart felt like it was being torn apart. Michael gripped the phone, remaining silent for a long time before slowly beginning to dial. "Emma, we need to talk." The warm voice of my sister Emma came through the receiver. "Michael? What's wrong?" "It's about Ethan. I need to tell you about what happened at Universal." Emma listened silently. Occasionally, I could hear her sharp intake of breath. Then, quietly but with strong determination, she said, "I'll contact James too. Come to our house tomorrow. This can't be ignored any longer." The next morning, the three of them began their investigation. Around Emma's dining table, they silently began gathering evidence. The old family album James brought. Emma's diary. The bundle of receipts Michael had collected. They all told the story of years of unfair treatment. "Look at this," Emma opened a large album. "Tyler's birthday party last year. A lavish dinner at Weston Country Club. They even hired a professional photographer and invited over 100 guests. The luxuriously decorated venue. Parents chatting with smiles. Mother's expression as she embraced Tyler was filled with ultimate happiness." James continued, "Meanwhile, Ethan's birthday photos. He flipped through other albums one after another. There's not a single one. Completely erased from the records." My chest felt tight. Indeed, Mother had forgotten Ethan's birthday every year. Although she would hurriedly bring a card the next day, she never once celebrated with him. Emma opened an old diary. Those pages written in neat handwriting contained detailed records. "These are the Christmas present records. Last year, Tyler received the latest PlayStation 5 and designer brand clothes, totaling over $2,000. For Ethan, a stationery set, $29.99. The records went on endlessly. Mother paid for all of Tyler's extracurricular activities and sent him to an expensive private Sunday school. Monthly lesson fees were $800. Meanwhile, Ethan played on the local baseball team, and we paid for his uniform ourselves. It was the same with my children," Emma quietly confessed. "Mother wouldn't even come to birthday parties. Said she was too busy. But she was driving Tyler to and from his lessons on the same day." James pulled out a letter from Sunday school teacher Mrs. Sarah Johnson. The teacher testified too. Mother always came to Tyler's parent observation days, taking photos from the front row. But for Ethan, She never came once, I continued. The evidence piled up. Photos, receipts, diaries, emails, testimonies. Everything told the story of our parents' discriminatory treatment. The cruel reality hidden behind a facade of affection. My children too, James clenched his fist. Look at the Christmas photos. Mountains of presents around Tyler. For the other grandchildren. Emma spread out a bundle of old bills. Mother sends Linda living expenses every month. Last month it was $5,000. But when Rachel asked for help with childcare, she refused, I remembered. When Ethan was just born, when I was exhausted from childcare, Mother had coldly said, "You should handle your own affairs." A week of investigation revealed the full truth. Mother's discrimination had started with small incidents and escalated over the years. After Tyler's birth, the tendency became decisive. And today, the entire family was gathered in Emma's living room. The afternoon sunlight streaming through the large windows illuminated the heavy atmosphere. The silence of the upscale residential area highlighted the tension in the room. Mother sat in her elegant dress, wearing her usual confident expression. Father sat deep in his leather sofa, silently staring at the floor. Linda anxiously held Tyler, occasionally sending pleading glances to Mother. Emma pulled out one decisive photograph. Last Christmas, Tyler was surrounded by mountains of presents, embraced by Mother. Next to them, Ethan stood alone, holding a small package. His eyes reflected an indescribable loneliness. "Mother, explain this." Emma's voice was quiet but filled with strong will. "Why do you treat the same grandchildren so differently?" Mother glanced at the photo and elegantly shrugged. "What's wrong with that? Linda's family needs support. She's raising a child alone. Isn't that natural?" Those words froze the air in the room. "That's not true," James stood up. "My children received the same treatment." "Mother, you've always given special treatment only to Linda's child. Don't the feelings of your other grandchildren matter? We are special." "Of course we are," Linda interjected. Her voice dripped with arrogance. "After all, I'm the youngest child. And Tyler is." Father sat silently. His back, once full of dignity, now seemed small and hunched. Occasionally, his eyes looking at his wife reflected an indescribable weariness. I took a deep breath and spoke in a quiet but firm voice. "Enough. Let's end this." Desperately trying to control my trembling voice. "Ethan is your grandson. He's family, why would you treat him like this?" Emma stood up resolutely. "This ends our relationship with this family too. Mother, what you've done is unforgivable." "I'm telling the church community too," James continued. "Everyone needs to know about this discriminatory treatment. I plan to submit a detailed report to the board of directors." "No. You can't," Linda cried out. Her voice cracked. "Our position in the church, and Tyler's tuition." The blood drained from Mother's face. Her elegant smile frozen. "You can't, our reputation." "We can," Emma's voice was cold. "We have all the evidence and testimonies. In fact, the church board has already been informed. They too can no longer overlook such discriminatory treatment." A heavy silence dominated the room. Tyler anxiously clung to his mother. Father remained silent. Mother's once dignified figure now looked pitifully small. Outside the window, a small bird hopped from branch to branch. That casual scene felt incongruous with the current situation. The air in the room had changed irreversibly. "Let's go," I took Michael's hand. "Ethan is waiting." As I stood up, Mother tried to grab my sleeve. For the first time, I could see her hand trembling. Was it fear or regret? "Rachel, wait." I didn't turn around. I knew I would never come to this house again. Everything would change from today. It might be sad, but it was a necessary change. As we left the entrance, I could hear Tyler crying. I felt sorry for him. He too was a victim of the adult's distorted love. He wasn't to blame. He had just been instilled with twisted values under his grandmother's abnormal affection. After getting in the car, Michael silently held my hand. At his warmth, tears I had been holding back for years spilled out. Was it really this easy for family bonds to break? But this wasn't the end. It was a new beginning. For Ethan's sake, we had to look forward. 2 weeks after the family meeting, on a Sunday, Mother, dressed in her Chanel tweed suit as usual, entered the ladies' auxiliary room with her head held high. However, there were no warm conversations or friendly smiles waiting for her. 9 a.m., the ladies' auxiliary monthly meeting. Someone was already sitting in the chair usually reserved for Mother at the head of the table. In Mother's regular seat, a new nameplate had been placed. "Good morning." No one turned to Mother's greeting. Several ladies were talking in hushed voices. When they saw Mother, their conversation immediately stopped. A silence that froze the air. Regarding this week's donation activities, Mother raised her voice, with a slight tremor in it. "That's already been decided," Mrs. Johnson coldly announced. "Patricia, you were already informed that you've been removed from the committee." Mother's hands trembled. Her charity event proposal fell to the floor. No one moved to pick it up. For 30 years, she had been the central figure of this ladies' auxiliary. She had overseen everything from the Christmas bazaar to Easter events. Now she was relegated to the corner of the room. The place Mother had built up over many years was crumbling with an audible sound. Under the ladies' cold stares, Mother's back gradually began to bend. A similar atmosphere pervaded the Sunday school. An invisible wall was being built around Linda. The mothers who used to flock around her now watched from a distance. During class observation, the seats around Linda remained empty. "You're Tyler's mother, aren't you?" a new mother spoke to her. "I've heard the rumors." Linda's face tensed at those words. Even Tyler's activity friends' parents gradually stopped keeping in touch. Rejection notices arrived one after another from the piano school, riding club, and swimming school. All of Tyler's special treatment was coming to an end. Weekend activities disappeared one by one. The impact on Father's construction company was even more serious. The trust relationships he had built through the church community crumbled in an instant. One morning, the phone rang from an important client. "Robert, I'm sorry, but we'll have to cancel the planned suburban housing development project." "What do you mean?" "The contract is all ready. Trust is essential in this business. Now that discriminatory treatment of children has been proven, we cannot continue doing business with your company." The cancellation notices continued after that. 2 cases, 5 cases, 10 cases. The company's sales plummeted rapidly. A stack of cancelled contracts piled up on Father's desk. "President, at this rate." The accounting manager reported worriedly. "I know," Father's voice was exhausted. Even the employees' gazes grew colder day by day. There was no longer the same respect when passing in the hallway. An anxious atmosphere pervaded the office as payday approached. And inevitably, support for Linda could no longer continue. One night, Mother answered the phone with trembling hands. "I'm sorry, Linda," Mother's voice shook. "This month's living expenses." "What?" What do you mean? You promised. Linda's voice cracked. The company's situation. What are we supposed to do? Tyler's tuition. His activities. You promised, didn't you? You said you'd take care of us. On the other end of the phone, Linda's crying could be heard. Tyler's voice too. Mom, what's wrong? Unable to continue their life in the upscale neighborhood, Linda was forced to move to a suburban apartment. Tyler had to transfer to public school and quit all his extracurricular activities. On moving day, Linda was packing her belongings through tears. Designer clothes and bags were sold to pawn shops. Only the bare necessities remained. But Mom, what about my piano? Tyler asked anxiously. I'm sorry, Tyler. We have to make do without it for now. What about swimming? My friends? Linda couldn't answer. She just continued silently packing boxes. Life in the new environment was harsher than imagined. Tyler couldn't adjust to public school life and often spent break times alone. It became clear that his previous special treatment had actually hindered his social development. Mother's house no longer had its former vitality. No one came to visit anymore. The phone didn't ring. Weekend tea parties were no longer held. Expensive china sets were stored away in the cabinet, and the once well-maintained garden gradually grew wild. No one comes anymore, Mother peered through a gap in the curtains. Everyone is avoiding us. The houseplants in the living room died one by one. Mother often forgot to water them. Father silently spread his newspaper. But his hands trembled slightly. Job listings in the classified section were marked, and unpaid bills piled up on his desk. Linda's cell phone no longer rang. Messages from former friends ceased. Social media likes disappeared, and birthday celebration comments stopped coming. Her Instagram account hadn't been updated since her last photo at a luxury restaurant. Mom, no one talks to me at school. After school, Tyler complained to Linda. This reality must have been hard to accept for him, who had grown up with special treatment. The teacher doesn't call on me. I'm alone during break time. Everyone avoids me. It was as if he was now experiencing the loneliness he had once inflicted on others. At church, they were rarely seen anymore. On Sunday mornings, they would hurry through the corridors they once proudly walked, avoiding people's gazes. Their voices singing hymns and words of prayer sounded somehow hollow. Mother's figure sitting at the back of the rows looked like a different person. Her makeup grew lighter, her clothes more modest. Her former dignity had faded, replaced by deep fatigue. The other day, when I passed Mother in the church hallway, she looked clearly aged. Her back was hunched, her hair lackluster. The hand clutching her luxury brand bag no longer carried any dignity. When Mother tried to stop me, her voice was hoarse. But I didn't stop. I took Ethan's hand and kept walking. Mother's sob from behind. It was a sound I had never heard before, filled with deep sorrow. That sound echoed long in the church hallway. One afternoon, I happened to see Linda at the supermarket. Gone was her former elegant appearance as she carefully selected sale items. Tyler stood beside the cart, wearing an expression of resignation about the toys he wanted. Mom, this cereal. I'm sorry, dear. Let's get the cheaper one today. At that sight, I felt complex emotions. Was this retribution, or a new beginning? But this was reality. The inevitable result of years of discriminatory treatment. The truth hidden under the mask of goodwill had changed everything. Tyler, raised in a privileged environment, was now learning the harshness of reality. It might be painful, but perhaps it was a necessary experience for his growth. On the way home, Ethan said in a small voice, "Mom, I heard Tyler is transferring schools. So it seems. I feel a bit sorry for him." I was moved by my son's kindness. That the child who had been discriminated against could show compassion for those who had hurt him touched me deeply. Outside the window, autumn winds were shaking the trees. Seasons would surely change, and people's memories would gradually fade. But the scars left by this incident wouldn't disappear so easily. In a way, perhaps this was a deserved consequence. Discrimination masked as love eventually came back to them. What awaited at the end of special treatment was complete isolation. However, I secretly hoped that from this isolation, new awareness would be born. Michael silently embraced my shoulder. We knew this choice had been right. Still, hearing the sound of family bonds breaking was painful. Nevertheless, we believed this was a new beginning. 2 years have passed. Seasons changed, and people's lives changed dramatically. The other day, I happened to pass by the apartment where my parents now live. A modest 3-story building unimaginable from their former mansion. Cheap lace curtains flutter in the windows. I heard that father works at a small real estate company now. The man who was once president of a major construction company now works under others. According to Emma, father's back has become even more hunched. Mother had completely lost her social circles. Her social media accounts were deleted, her phone number changed. Sometimes she's spotted at the local supermarket, but with a bare face without makeup, quickly finishing her shopping. Linda works part-time at a local fast food restaurant. She seems to be desperately trying to rebuild her life as a single mother. All her designer bags and branded clothes have been sold. Surprisingly, Tyler has adapted to this change in environment. They say he's gradually regaining his natural childlike qualities while living a normal life without special treatment in public elementary school. The other day, I saw him playing baseball with friends in the schoolyard. His former privileged air had faded, replaced by the expression of an honest young boy. "Hey Mom, Tyler joined the baseball team," Ethan told me one day. "We're going to play against their team in the next game." I felt my heart warm at my son's carefree smile. Ethan is now thriving as the ace pitcher of the local youth baseball team. He has grown into a stronger, kinder boy after overcoming those tears. At the recent district tournament, he brilliantly led the team to victory. After the game, Michael quietly wiped away tears as he watched Ethan's proudly shining figure. "My husband has been promoted and given greater responsibilities. But he never misses his son's games. Work schedules are always arranged around baseball schedules. Our family is spending more fulfilling days at a new church. Fairview Baptist Church welcomed us warmly. Here, there are no superficial relationships or competitive atmospheres. There is genuine faith and true compassion. At Sunday school, I also work as a teacher, interacting with the children. My heart warms every time I'm called Teacher Rachel. Perhaps in this church, we found the true joy of faith." Meanwhile, my parents' lives continue to grow harder. According to Emma, they are tormented by regret every day. Mother, in particular, has become afraid to look in the mirror. Because she sees her past arrogance in the reflection there. Linda still sometimes dreams of her old life, they say. Dining at expensive restaurants, shopping at brand stores, luxurious activities. Everything seems like a distant dream now. These days, she struggles just to manage Tyler's school lunch fees. Still, these 2 years have revealed something to us. What true family bonds mean. What love is. What faith is. On Sunday morning in the car heading to church, Ethan writes in his baseball strategy notebook in the back seat. Michael occasionally glances at his son through the rearview mirror while driving. Dad, I'm going to play against Tyler in the next game. Is that so? Looking forward to it. I'm going to pitch with all my might. I sense deep meaning in that conversation. Boys purely enjoying sports, transcending past conflicts. It seemed like new hope was sprouting there. Outside the window, spring sunshine announces the arrival of a new season. The budding trees seem to be blessing our family's new beginning. Indeed, family bonds were once broken. But in exchange, we found true happiness. Not superficial affection, but genuine caring. Not surface-level faith, but heartfelt prayer. Michael holds my hand. In that warmth, I felt certain that everything was heading in the right direction. Our future is reflected in Ethan's clear eyes. This is the beginning of our family's new story. The beginning of an honest journey based on true love.